Hey, it's Brian with Reclaimed Republic. This is your first time here. I'm a full-time eBay reseller and part-time YouTube content creator. On eBay, I sell in the everything category, so I sell anything from pots and pans to stuffed animals and hammers. So, had a really great week on eBay this past week, and I'm can't wait to get into the details and all the sales there. And if you're here for the thumbnail, we're going to talk about that first. So just stick around and we'll get into the details. All right, well, let's get into the thumbnail. If you happen to see the video I published last week, I talked about some store changes that I had for my eBay store, and one of those changes was implementing Flipwise. So that's a software that Justin resells, and a partner of his that collaborated together on that built. It's a really cool tool. Gets really deep into the business, shows you all your numbers, and I've been doing a lot of stuff on spreadsheets, and this kind of, just like his advertisement says, ditch the spreadsheet. It allows you to do that. I'm still using some Excel spreadsheets just for video purposes, just because for display, but it's a really cool tool. And when I was reviewing sales, so I was noticing that the profit margin was significantly lower than the profit margin I had listed. I was trying to figure that out, and I realized that the profit margin calculation on Flipwise includes revenue of the item and the shipping, and then it takes your net revenue, before taxes, and that's how they calculate the profit margin. Which at first I was like, that doesn't make sense. And the more I thought about it, I thought, well, if you're selling stuff with free shipping, you'd be doing that anyhow, because your shipping is tied into the total cost, sales price of the item. And then it made sense to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've been calculating my profit margin incorrectly. Now, it doesn't affect the income at all. Your net profit before taxes is still the same. The pre-tax profit is still the same. It's just how the profit margin gets calculated that I've been, misstating. Whenever I'm saying, whenever I'm getting 60s and 70% profit margin weeks, sometimes you'll see on this week's that that's not the case, even though if I had done the old calculation, it would have been in the 60s. But it started to make sense to me as I really had to sit down and think about it for a minute. But yeah, so I've changed the way I look at my profit margin so that calculations include shipping, which sometimes I make money on, sometimes I lose money on. A lot of times, probably about 70% of the times, I'm right on the money on shipping. So it's those other 30% where it kind of varies a little bit. You'll see some big variances today. So yeah, that's really it. I'm not out there being deceitful, saying I'm making, way more profit when I'm not. The profit that I say I'm making. It's just the profit margin calculation where I've been off. So yeah, that's it. Just short and simple. All right, so today we're going to talk about 41 items that sold last week. So I'm going to put, it was a good week. It was a really good week. I'm going to put the numbers right up here. So 41 items sold for a total with item sales and shipping of $1,238.98. So after taking out all the shipping costs, ad fees, promotions, cost of goods, everything, so pre-tax profit of $608.69, or a 49% profit margin all in. So very, very happy with that. If I can get some more weeks like that and keep them growing, then that's what I'm aiming for. But for now, I'm pretty pleased with that. The number one profit source, and this is something I'm doing different too, and this came right out of Flipwise. Whenever I looked at number one source, it's ranked by profit. I was ranking them previously by location or source, item source. So this week I had more items that sold come from estate sales, but more of my profit came from garage sales. And really, profit is what we're after here. You don't go to the bank and say, yeah, I'd like to, deposit these 21 sales. You don't do that. You say, I want to deposit this $1,000. So the this week is probably, if there's one sale in here that if I took it out, garage sales would not be the most profitable, but they are this week. So we're going to look at it that way. So 50% of the profit this week came from items I sourced at garage sales. 27 items came from promoted listings, or 66% of the items sold, and 59% of the items, or 24 items, or 59%, came from offers or coupons. Interestingly enough, the percentage of the total number of items sold on promoted sales and offers and coupons was exactly the same as last week. The item quantities varied because different number of items sold, but 66 and 59%, those numbers stayed exactly the same as they were last week, which was pretty interesting. Then I had 18 double dips, so 18 items sold that were promoted listings and sold on an offer or a coupon. All right, like we've been doing, we're going to get into the 5 worst sales of the week first. And this was great, putting this list together, because there was not a sale where I lost any money, as have been in the several weeks prior. There are some low dollar profits and low profit margins, but no lost money. So I'm really happy to see that. And let's get right into those. So let's see here. The 5th worst sale of the week is this Clue board. I think it's from 1972 or 75. Picked this up at a garage sale for 75 cents and sold it for $6.89 plus shipping, for a $2.79 pre-tax profit, or 20% profit margin. That one was a whole game. Whenever I was looking at Clue boards, it didn't make sense to set, like, the game was going to sell for, like, I don't know, $10, but I could sell all the things individually for like $20. So I've already sold off the cards, the case cards and all that kind of stuff, and now the board, and then I've got the pieces with the dice in a bag back there as well. So I'll make more money parting it out. And what I didn't look at is how fast could I have sold it for $10? Would I have been better off? I didn't look at that, but I'm already 2/3 of the way down that path, so I can't go back now. All right, look at the 4th worst sale of the week is this Overwatch Blizzard pattern hat. Overwatch is a online game. I'm not into online games. I think my kids have played this game, and whenever I told them what I bought, they're like, oh yeah, I know about that. So picked this hat up at a garage sale for $2. Sold it for $6.70 plus shipping, for a $2.70 pre-tax profit, or 22% profit margin. All right, let's see. This 3rd worst sale of the week is going to be this Hawaii 50th state mug. It's a really cool mug. I picked it up in a lot of mugs from an estate sale. About 30 mugs for 20 cents each. And just thought, man, I'm definitely going to make some money on this. I didn't really comp them, which, my mistake. But they mostly all sell for anywhere between, say, $8 to $10 or $12, somewhere in there. This one sold for $6.31 on an offer when I had the store coupon up over the weekend. So I ended up getting a $2.26 pre-tax profit, or a 14% profit margin. This is an item I did earlier this week on a video saying I would not buy this item again, and that goes really for all the mugs that I bought. Those souvenir mugs, unless you find one that's really, say, $15 to $20, and you can pay a quarter for them, they're not really worth the time that I can tell, selling them. So especially because they're fragile, you got to pack the heck out of those things to make sure they don't break. So not an item I'd get again, but thought it was cool, and I'm glad I sold it. Next item are these handmade coasters. They're on the little plastic canvas where you can stitch yarn through them, and somebody made the little coaster holder, and there's 3 coasters. I picked this up at an estate sale for 25 cents and sold it for $3.91 plus shipping. That wasn't a great one. I already had the pictures taken whenever I listed it and comped it to sell it. And at that point, I was so far down the path, I was like, I might as well list them. They're sitting in a bin. I've taken the pictures. So I did list them, made a $2.26 pre-tax profit on those as well for a 26% profit margin. Again, not an item that I would buy again, but you know, that's okay. They're out the door. Got some money back. And then the worst sale of the week is this Jack Daniel's keychain. I picked this up at a garage sale for 25 cents. Ended up selling it for $3.50 plus shipping on a best offer for a $1.34 pre-tax profit, or an 18% profit margin. I was at a garage sale. I'd been to the guy's house before and was at the garage sale, and we were just chit-chatting while I was around shopping and picking stuff up. And he had a bunch of keychains, and he said they were 2 for 50 cents. And I picked up a couple. And I didn't even pay. I didn't comp them, didn't pay attention. Most of the stuff there did not comp, just because a lot of it I knew the value as I was walking around. Not everything, but a lot of things I did. And these I didn't, and shouldn't have bought the keychains, but I did, and sold them and got one out the door. So not horrible for a worst 5, and my intention is to keep improving on that, so the worst 5 get better and better, and then there's not, hopefully, a lot of difference between, in the profit margin at least, the best 5 and the worst 5. So, but there will always be a bottom 5 for the week. That'll always happen. All right, I should say, as long as you're selling 10 items, you can always have a top 5 and a bottom 5. Yeah. All right, let's take a look at the 5 best sales of the week. This is going to be a fun one. Well, I'll just save this, save it for whenever we get to number 1. Let's look at the 5th best sale of the week. Are this Armstrong socket set with a ratchet in it. It's a brand that I picked this up at a estate sale in Colorado when I was there a couple weeks ago. It's a brand I didn't know about before. I'd never heard of Armstrong tools. I picked up 2 things, the socket set and a set of wrenches. I already sold the wrenches, but it's a made in USA brand. It's an older brand, really good quality products. So it's something I'll be watching out for in the future whenever I'm looking through tools. But just didn't know about it before, and now I've got it in my tool brand Rolodex up here in my noggin. So I paid $3.30 for that. Sold it for $28.96 with the store coupon plus shipping for a $19.60 pre-tax profit, or a 53% profit margin. So it surprised me a little bit that it was worth that much. I thought maybe it'd be worth, $15, maybe $20 whenever I just saw it, because it was a smaller set. But being worth as much as it is, I was pretty shocked. And if it was more complete, it could have been worth closer to $50. I saw some higher comps on more complete sets that went pretty high. All right, the 4th best sell of the week are these Oakley Flak. They're Arctic white sunglasses. This was a weird sale. I picked these up at a garage sale for $2. I picked up 2 different pair. One pair, it was super obvious that they were fake. Some of the decaling the logoing was crooked, and the rubber was all sticky and nasty and coming apart. This pair actually looked pretty good, and when I Googled them, everything seemed to be exactly the same as authentic pairs that I was seeing sell for a lot of money. I should say a lot more money, maybe around $50 to $60, except on the inside, I think it was the left side, on the arm, I don't know what you call this on your glasses, but the serial numbers, or the style number, was in the wrong spot. So every other pair of sunglasses I saw had the style number kind of in the center, and this one was up higher. It's the only one my pair was the only pair I saw that had the style number in that spot, which caused me to question its authenticity. But everything else, the logos, the fonts, everything else looked identical. So they could have been just super fakes and just had the style number in the wrong spot. I couldn't tell. So I did mention that in the description, and I listed them at a lower price just because I didn't feel comfortable charging an authentic pair of sunglasses price for something I wasn't sure about. Cost me $2. I sold them for $24.89 plus shipping, for a $19.97 pre-tax profit, or a 63% profit margin, and they sold in about 2 hours. I didn't send a message saying, "Hey, did you read the description?" I can't guarantee they're authentic, but so see if anything happens there. I'd be interested to see what you would have done if you're a reseller and you came across that situation, what you would have done. It was a little bit perplexing. I almost didn't list them, and I thought, well, I'm going to list them. I'm going to put notes on there and see if, and I think I put see description also in the title. I think we'll see. If it's up there, I did, but I just wanted to be honest about it and not rip anybody off. So, all right. The third best sale of the week is this lot of dog puzzles and treat dispensing toys. I put them in the friends and family category just because I don't have a category for these are sample products from the place I used to work at. But I was a outside salesperson, manager for an outside sales team before I lost my job in September, and the brands whose products we sold would send out samples of all the products they wanted us to sell, and new product launches and all that kind of stuff. And occasionally I just go through my garage and pick out some samples that I have left over, and I found these in a box, and rather than sell them one at a time, I decided to put it all as one big lot. And so they didn't cost me anything. Sold them for $29.89 plus shipping, for a $22.51 pre-tax profit, or a 49% profit margin. All right, and then the second best sale of the week. Finally getting some pots and pans on here, but I have this Calphalon set. So this is there's a 2.5 quart and a 4 quart saucepan. There's a steamer insert and then a lid that fits so that it's all interchangeable. I hadn't done this. I had the steamer insert on the 4 quart with a lid, and then I had this 2.5 quart off by itself, and then I was like, I wonder if it all goes together. And I don't know if it's supposed to, but I bundled it all up together to sell it because I had this 2.5 quart saucepan that the steamer insert and the lid both fit in or on, but I didn't have a lid for the 2.5 quart, so I put it all together. Bundled that all up, paid $5 for that at a garage sale as part of a big lot of stuff that I bought, cookware. Sold it for $39.90 plus shipping with a 20% off coupon, for a $26.81 pre-tax profit, or a 42% profit margin. I'm really starting to lean more and more towards finding items, and it doesn't always work for pots and pans, but bundling stuff up so that you can sell more items, bump your sell price, potentially even bump your profit margin. So potentially, and just, move more stuff that way. So just kind of have to see how that progresses in my store. And then the number one sale of the week. So this was the first. I've had a couple comments. They were like, "Oh my gosh, you can do better," or "That's lame." I've had a couple of those, and I just laugh it off. This is the first time I got a comment that was like, really, "Hey, you did a bad thing," and I was like, "Wow." And I think I remember, I don't know how to check, but I think it's somebody who commented before that they really liked something else that I did. So, but I bought this trombone. I'm going to put the trombone up first. I'm going to tell the story. I'm going to put the numbers up. So, bought this trombone at a garage sale for $10. And before I put all the numbers up, I want to tell the garage sale story. And I'm sure if you're a reseller or if you've had a garage sale, you've probably been on both. You might have been on both sides of this type of conversation before. I know I have been as a reseller and somebody who's had garage sales. So I walked up. It's sitting right there. It wasn't open and it was closed, sitting at the end of the driveway. There's a bunch of stuff just laid out on the driveway. There's a brand new neighborhood. And I see them. They're still pulling stuff out. And I said, "Are you guys moving?" And they go, "No, we just moved in." And I said, "Oh, okay, cool." And I see the trombone sitting there and opened the case and I looked at it. And I said, "How much is your trombone?" And they said, "Well," and the guy goes, "How about $50? And I looked at it and I was like, "Nah, yeah, I appreciate that. I'll probably pass." And at this point, this was not a tactic. I was in band whenever I was in middle school, but my dad bought my trumpet for me. I've never bought or sold musical instruments. I don't know what any of that stuff sells for. I really don't. And I have a little bit better idea now, at least on trombones, having sold this one. But I wasn't sure where to go with this thing at all. So I'm just thinking in my head, $50, that's more of a gamble than I'd want to take on it. And so I said, "Nah, I appreciate it. I'll pass." And he goes, "Well, what do you want to pay for it?" And his wife is standing there right next to him while this conversation's going on. And I looked at it and I said, "I'll be honest." I said, "It's a little bit cheap." I said, "But I'd probably offer you $10 for it." And as soon as I said that, his wife goes, hits him in the arm, and she goes, "See, I told you you're not going to get more than $10 for that at a garage sale." And I'm like, this is like, I'm seeing these flashbacks of like conversations and interactions I've had with my wife and conversations with other people. And he goes, "All right, yeah, $10, that'll work. So I wasn't sitting there badgering the guy to sell it to me for $10 or telling him that it's a piece of crap, sell it to me for $10 or anything like that. I told him I was willing to pay, and he sold it to me for $10. In the video I posted earlier, was it earlier or last week? I don't remember when I posted this one about the trombone, but a guy commented and he said, "Why are you ripping people off at garage sales? You know damn well $10 is too little or too low to pay for that trombone." And I just responded to him and I said, "I actually don't know. I'm still not an expert at all, or not even, I don't even know if I'm an amateur at selling musical instruments. I just said this is the way the interaction went, and it just happened to tip in my favor this time. There's been plenty of times where somebody has set a price, I've set I'd be willing to pay a different price, and it didn't work out. There was no sale. So that's just the way it happens whenever you're out there, at estate sales and garage sales and, just negotiating on prices. So personally, I think ripping people off is if I was telling them, making up all these things that could be flaws and saying you should sell it to me cheaper because of that, when I know it was not a problem. But it's just, I think if you're being deceitful, then, you're ripping people off. But really is kind of a learning moment for me on the whole deal. Knowing what I know now about the price, I still probably wouldn't have paid $50 for it. So I might have paid 25 or 30 because I wasn't sure, even now, I'm not sure how long I'd have to hold on to it exactly. I'm still maybe an amateur, but probably not at selling musical instruments. So, all right, let's get into the pricing. So bought it for $10, sold it for $199.89 plus shipping. The shipping's a whole other story. So whenever I measured it, I said, I know how long it needs to be, and I knew I was going to need 2 boxes from Home Depot. They're large, 27 by 15 by 16 boxes. And so I just bumped the inches up and said it's going to be 40. So I'm going to put 2 boxes together, and it's going to be 16 wide, 17 tall. So you add a little bit for the exterior measurement of the box. I knew it was going to ship FedEx home delivery. So I took the dimensional weight of that, the 40 by 16 by 17, and came up with whatever the pounds were. I don't remember. And that's what the weight was. And somebody bought it. So they paid $96, I think, in shipping. And once I got the boxes put together lengthwise, I wrapped that, because I knew I was going to have to wrap the heck out of this thing. And I did. I don't know, I must have spent probably $5 in bubble wrap going around the case, long ways, sideways, all the ways. Lining the box with packing paper all over it just to make sure the thing was super secure. And by the time I surrounded it, I had this huge gap at the top. I was like, okay, I was way too much room at the top the way it fit in there. So I cut the box down, folded it down, and I ended up about an inch shorter lengthwise than I had intended, which worked out fine. But that height I saved on the top took the dimensional weight down tremendously. So I only ended up spending about, I'm putting it up here, I don't remember what it was off the top of my head, but it was about $38, $39 in shipping versus the $96 the buyer paid. And it, for a second I was like, holy moly. And then I started thinking about it. And another side story about this #1 sale, just before we wrap it all up here. I had just repaired my van, got a 2005 Honda Odyssey, and did some repairs to it. My dad and I did. And I was up at Walmart to get some wipes to wipe down the inside and get it all cleaned up. And I noticed that my tag had expired whenever I parked it last year. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is not good, because now there's going to be penalties on top of if you don't renew it fast enough, there's penalties. So I logged on to renew my tag. I didn't want to drive anymore until I had it purchased. So I could show, if in case I got pulled over, I could show a police officer, look, I just updated my tag, so now it's legit. And so I did that, and I get to the payment screen, and it's like, you owe $226 to update the registration, the inspection tag on the back of your car. It's like, good God. It's only like $40 or something to do it for that van. But because of the penalties, I had to do it make it current through last year, and then this year. It all added up to $226. And I was just like, that stinks. I didn't want to spend $226 on something like that at all. Really trying to watch my money. And so I'm on the payment screen. While I'm on the payment screen typing in my card information, I get an eBay notification in the top of your phone. I see the little eBay insignia, and in my head I was like, well, that could be a sale, that could be an offer from somebody that I was comping their item, or that could be something where eBay's save 20% on winter boots. You get those ads from time to time. So I was like, I need to finish this so it doesn't time out or something, and I'll get back to it. So I finish it, screenshot the receipt so in case I need to show somebody, and I open the notification. It said, your item sold for $199.89 plus shipping. And I was like, holy moly. I just sold a $200 item while I'm like sitting there kind of stressed out a little bit about having to pay an extra $225 that I wasn't planning on spending for a car tag. So I went home and I told my wife, I said, she got home that evening, and I said, we had a little like divine interaction. And she goes, what do you mean? And I told her the story, and I said, now, $200 isn't going in our pocket, so you got to pay fees. And I don't remember if it was promoted, but I said, you got to pay fees and all this stuff. I said, so, probably make $150, but that's a huge offset to that cost. she's like, yeah, no, I get it. She said it would have been cool if you would have, made enough to offset the whole thing. That would have been super cool. And I said, yeah, but still, it's pretty good. And she was like, yeah, it's great. And so we're super happy about that. And it wasn't until I went to ship it and ended up cutting down the box and everything, and I got to the very end and I went back and I looked at, like, in eBay, total earnings for this sale. It ended up being $219 and change. And I mean, just blew my mind. So yeah, I actually I stopped and I called her right away. I was like, you're not going to believe this. So remember that conversation we had? I made the sale and then you were like, oh, wouldn't it be so cool? I was like, I just made like $60 almost on shipping, and it takes the total earnings on that item up to $219. And she was like, we were provided for. That's awesome. She's like, that's really awesome. So, I told her, I said, now the interesting part is going to be to see how many people, whenever I talk about this on YouTube, are going to say, you just ripped somebody off on the shipping. I can't believe you would do that. And I'll be just I've said this before, and I'll be just restate it. But if somebody buys multiple items, which somebody did last week, bought 4 items and asked for combined shipping, I did it, and I gave them, refunded the difference, because that was their intention, is to do that, and they bought them on separate transactions. So, but when somebody looks at a price, they say, oh, look, that's $10 plus $5 shipping, and they're happy to pay $15 plus whatever the taxes are, then great, awesome for them. Then if I ship it for $3 instead of $5, I get to keep the extra $2. So I know some people may just get all sorts of bent out of shape for making $60 on shipping, but I personally don't feel bad about it. I think the person got a really good deal. I got a really good deal. Everybody's happy in the transaction. So yeah, I'm just gonna roll with it. That's for sure. But yeah, that's really it for the week. We are doing awesome with the views on the channel. So for everybody that's watching, I truly appreciate it, especially with all my rambling that happens. If you have any comments or questions, please leave those below. I'd be happy to answer them as best as I can. Once this week gets wrapped up, we'll have another video like this coming out next week. Until then, have a great day.